नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आयर्याणं नमो वज्रायाणं नमो लोये सवसाहोणम् एसो पञ्चनमोक्कारो सवपावपणासनो मङ्गलाणं च सव्येसिं परमं हवै मङ्गलम्. Jai Jinendra. On behalf of the three organizers, I think by now you will be knowing their names by heart. The Department of Jainology at the University of Madras, functioning for more than 40 years, and then Research Foundation for Jainology, and the Jain Academy of Scholars with its head office at Ahmedabad. So on behalf of the office bearers of all these three organizers, I extend a warm welcome to the last session of the seminar. And as you all know through the 2 days seminar, that 84 people registered, 64 people submitted their abstracts, and out of the 64 people, 50 people presented offline, and 14 people are presenting online. Out of the 14 people, 4 or 5 presented in the morning, and now we have the last batch of the presenters. So we are last but not the least, and everybody appreciated the efforts put in by all the three organizations and by so many teams working in coordination, and the variety of subjects that attracted the interest of senior scholars, researchers, and students. They said not a dull moment was there. There was so much that how many ways you can look at a thing. So as they say, no, munde munde matir binna, tunde tunde saraswati. In every mind, the knowledge works in a different way, and all wanting to explore Jainism, the Jain tenets, and present their new findings. And we appreciate all the efforts put in on the other side by the presenters, paper abstract, those who have prepared the abstracts. And we look forward to have all your papers so that as and when we get the green signal, we can start the book on the work on the compilation of the papers. Okay, so that's it from my side. And on behalf of what to say, the foundation and department, we had Shanti sir, Renu, and Reshma doing the wonderful master of ceremony, and we had the technical team and all, so many people, waiting to hear you all. So don't be dejected that you're coming in the tail end. However, do your best, leave the rest. Over to Shanti sir.
Thank you, Priya ma'am. Often I keep saying that every interaction and every input from you is always an inspiration to all of us. And today's evening session, we've got several speakers. So we thought that we'll have a time of around 10 minutes per speaker. And Raj and Abhinandan have been very kind to ensure that we have this time rolling on top of the screen, on the Zoom screen, right? So that will give an idea for all the speakers. Even otherwise, at the 9th minute, I'll give you a small interruption so that you can wind up in the last 1 minute. The first speaker for today is Dhruti Ghia Rathi. She's a research scholar specializing in the ancient Indian history and Indology. And it's very interesting that she's the editor of Significant Contributions of Jainism, Volume 1. And she's also the vice chair and staff editor of the Jain Digest, which is a publication of Jaina, right? So we have the heartiest pleasure to welcome Dhruti Ghia Rathi. Over to you, Dhruti.
Thank you, Shanti sir. I will just share my screen now. Share, maybe. Let's see. Meeting view. Yeah. Let's see. Is the screen visible to all?
Yes, Dhruti, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Jai Jinendra, and good evening to all of you. I am very, very glad to be a part of this seminar for which I have heard and read lots of accolades, and I salute the energy of University of Madras Research Foundation of Genealogy and JS in concluding a 5-day marathon seminar for which only I've heard is positive things. My only regret is I wish I could have been there in person to enjoy and meet and greet and interact with all of you. But I think this is a wonderful blend of the North Indian and the South Indian, efforts in Jainism, and I'm very hopeful that maybe next time I will make it a point to attend if possible. So thank you again, Dr. Priyadarshana Jain, and for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this. It was a pleasure to meet you at Rishabhan seminar, and I salute your knowledge and dedication. So, my name is Dhruti Giarati. I am based in Princeton, New Jersey, and I have been involved in Jainism research for about last 5 years since the COVID time. This is a boon from COVID, is what I would say. And my topic for today is on highlighting the glory of Jainism, especially Rishabdev and Jainism in the Indus narrative seals. Now, if you look back at the historical timeline of our Tirthankars vis-a-vis what the history says, as reported in the books, we have information about Mahavir and Buddha as cross-reference. So they are called contemporaries, with the scriptures of Jainism mentioning 250 years before Mahavir Parshvanath existed. So we have reference to that. We have Neminath Bhagwan's reference to Krishna. Plus, we also have an archaeological reference of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Assyria, visiting India. So we do have some clues about these three, but we are also having some scholars that are debating the existence of proto-Jainism in the Indus Valley seals. And though the voice is not that strong, but I hope that as we go researching into that, we will be able to produce much more evidence. And if we go back to Vedic period, we have the Vedas mentioning Shamanak religion, Vatarashna Munis, and we have Puranas mentioning Rishabdev and Bharat. So we do have some information over there. We have information of Vratyas who were worshipping, and Kshatriyas who were Vratya Kshatriyas. We have Panis as part of the trade community. So all those kind of give us peripheral evidence and the circumstantial, which we can look to the trade that happened in the Indus Valley region. So with those contexts in mind, I would like to share with you my thoughts on Jainism in the Indus Valley civilization. So this paper argues that several narrative seals of the Indus Valley can be meaningfully interpreted through the lens of Jainism, especially the life and teachings of the first Tirthankar Rishabdev. While most earlier scholarships has primarily connected Indus religion to Proto-Hindu or Buddhist traditions, this study foregrounds Jain ideas and iconography as a plausible and coherent interpretive framework. In the bottom, we see a seal which is from Mohenjo-daro, which often has been reported as a proto-Siva seal, and they consider this as a Shiva's image. And this was done by Marshall, but we could interpret this as a basis of Rishabdev's eye area too. Okay, next 1 second. I'm not able to switch. A second. Okay. So Rishabdev, and we have references to Rishabdev teaching us the arts of Asi, Masi, Krishi, Vidya, Shilpakala, and Vanijya in Adi Puran. And based on that, we can also find evidence in Indus of counting, writing like symbols, and artistic production that aligns with this narrative. Wait, my slides are jumping. 1 second. Yeah, so we did this. Okay. So in the context, as I mentioned earlier, that Indus Valley civilization was a large trade-driven civilization. We had connections with Mesopotamia, Iran, Iraq, and even Egypt, and we had strong mercantile elites, and we also had possible Shraman religious influences. Building on earlier scholars who linked certain Indus figures and postures like Kayotse to Jainism, The paper proposes that specific narrative seals portray episodes and figures from early Jain tradition, as Buddhism does not have such an old history, and the slides will show connection to the Jainism context. This we talked about. And if we reread some of the specific seals, we can see that there's a crowned figure under a tree in Indus Valley, which we can interpret as worshipped by a kneeling royal surrounded by ascetics and can be read as Rishabdev's attainment of Keval clan and the homage of his son Bharat Chakravarti, along with the beginnings of the giant fourfold son. We know that Bharat, when he received the news of Rishabdev, he heard three news. One was the chakra happening, Sudarshan chakra, one was the birth of his son, and one was Rishabdev. And we can see that he first went to pay respects to Rishabdev on attainment of his Keval clan. Then there's also a standing rigid figure under trees, which also can be Rishabdev as Rishabdev in Kayutsar, compared to later Jain and Bahubali iconography that we see in current culture too. We also find a two-sided object with a meditating figure and a swastika on the reverse side, indicating it as an early devotional coin featuring the Jain auspicious symbol of Ashtamangal. In the Indus Valley seals, we see five swastiks, we see one swastik, we see even seals with having nagas on the top, we see prayer pose. So all these things we still continue in our religion. Then there's a seal with a man, who is blessing two animals, which can be associated. The man can be associated with Rishabdev, and the metaphors of the two animals can be taken up as Bharat and Bahubali via recurring horned animal motifs shown on them. Then there is a multi-faced seated figure surrounded by animals, which I just showed in the first slide, which can be compared to the Samosaran or a preaching assembly and the symbolic four-faced representation of a Tirthankar after a Keval Gnan. Or if you take it as a three-faced figure, then it is the attainment of the Keval Gnan. After that, there's also a seal showing a devotee before a sacred tree. And there's an adjacent 8-point symbol and stroke marks, which can be interpreted as, in their terminology, an Ashtaprakari puja and the Chaitya worship in Jain practices. We also find them offering flowers as well, in that. Besides that, we also see female figures with royal attributes in a meditative poses, and these can be linked to Marudevi, whom Shwetambar takes credit with attaining liberation. I have talked about this in my other paper at Rishabhayan in 2025. We also see female figures associated with trees, tigers, and script-like signs, which can be related to Brahmi, Rishabdev's daughter, and who was reputed transmitter of writing. Similarly, that also has been explained in the Rishabhan seminar. Seals with women and counting rods can be connected to Sundari, the other daughter of who was taught numeration by Rishabdev, aligning with Indus counting marks studied by Andrea Fools. Now, Andrea, in her paper, says that we find straight rods, which she also understands it as enumeration from 1 to 24. It's quite, interesting to see that it's only till 24 that we find the rods, in the Indus Valley seals. Then we also have confirmation of yakshis in the Indus Valley seals. There is a cylinder seal depicting a woman flanked by wild animals, and on overhead of her we find a chakra and an elephant below her, which is likely that of Yakshi Chakreshwari, if we consider Rishabdev
Dhruti,
as the
there's
person.
1 minute left,
Yeah.
Dhruti.
Yes, the protective attendant deity of Rishabdev. Later Jain images from Devgarh of Aprati Chakra Chakreshwari is used for comparison, suggesting continuity in the Yakshis iconography. So we could also have a Shashan Devi interpreting that, but this typically informs that the Devi was used to kind of give protection. And overall conclusion, we can see that across multiple sites of Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Kalibenga, and Banwali, similar narrative motifs emerge. Meditative Tirthankar-like figures are observed, sacred trees, royal worship, female ascetics, counting symbols, and protective goddesses with chakra and elephant mounts. Taken together, these suggest that Jain religious ideas centered on Rishabdev were integral to the religious landscape of the Indus civilization. This in turn supports a view of Jainism as an extremely ancient tradition, potentially rooted in or contemporaneous with the earliest urban civilization of the Indian subcontinent, highlighting the glory and antiquity of Jainism in India. And I would just like to take a moment to share the book that we recently published with Motilal. Why I'm highlighting it over here is because it's continuing the theme of glory of Jainism by highlighting the significant contributions of Jainism. It has about 29 articles in various fields: art, architecture, science, mathematics, language, literature, trade, finance. And I welcome all that you should take a look at it, because a recent Pew Research shared that only 4% of Hindus have any information about what Jainism is. And I think we should take up the task of informing others what our religion stands for. So please share and check it out. And I thank Shanti sir and Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am again, and all the attendees for joining and giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you so much. Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, Duti. That was really an awesome mind opener. I always thought that we have this Indus narrative, and so much of in-depth analysis of these seals, linking them to Rishabdeva, Lord Rishabdeva, is really a big eye opener for all of us. The next four speakers who have locked in here are, please get ready in the same sequence. In case there is any problem with the audio or video or PPT, we will quickly go to the next speaker to save time. Next will be Shreya Botra, Sunil Kumar Mehta, Vibha Chodia, and Dr. Achyut Khan Jain. Shreya, could you please quickly introduce yourself in about 30 seconds about what you're doing? I by mistake, accidentally deleted your file. So I request Shreya Botra
I'll,
to introduce
I'll
yourself.
do the needful, Shanti sir.
Yeah, sure.
I'll do the needful. Even Shreya can do it. Shreya is an alumni of our department. She just completed her MA and she stays in Aligarh and she has a lot of interest in Jain studies. I don't know what she's doing at present. That she only can answer.
Good evening and Jai Jinendra to one and all. At present, I'm a research scholar and this is the first research paper that I'll be presenting. So I thank Priyadarshana ma'am for the same, for giving this up, for organizing this seminar, which gave me an opportunity to participate here. Besides that, I only interact with a few. I'm just doing Dharma Prabhavna as Priyadarshana ma'am always encourages us to do by interacting with a few individuals. I'll start with my paper presentation. My paper speaks about understanding happiness and misery amongst Jain householders. Today, we find ourselves living in a time where two forces are simultaneously at their peak: materialism and mental distress. On one hand, there is unprecedented access to comfort, convenience, and luxury. On the other, there is a visible rise in anxiety, depression, and inner unrest. This leads us to a fundamental question. If materialism truly enhances well-being, why does it come with a compromised mental state? The answer lies in a subtle yet critical misunderstanding: the equation of comfort with happiness. Every jiva seeks sukh as it is its natural, intrinsic nature. However, in contemporary life, this search for sukh or happiness is directed outward, towards wealth, relationships, achievements, and sensory pleasures. We begin to assume, if I acquire enough, I'll be happy. But this assumption of happiness is flawed and object dependent. External objects are inherently unstable and unreliable sources of happiness, as they change, they fade, they are temporary and incapable of providing uniform experiences. Thus, happiness derived from them can neither be permanently retained nor can it satisfy one consistently. This makes any happiness derived from objects fragile by nature. Actually, what we commonly call happiness an illusion of happiness. It is sukhabhas. It is the temporary quietening of desires. What happens is a desire arises, creating restlessness. As soon as the desire is fulfilled, the restlessness subsides. And the moment where we experience relief from subsidence of restlessness is interpreted as happiness by us. But in reality, it is not sukh, it is not happiness. It is sukhabhas, an illusion which is shaped by prior agitation. As it depends on desire, it must be repeated, and what requires repetition cannot be lasting. This above cycle produces a distinct psychological pattern in Jeev, where before attainment of desire, the Jeev experiences anxiety, and after attainment of the desire, it gets attached to the experience, which is followed by experiencing fear of losing that object and experience. This becomes a loop of anxiety, attachment, and fear that creates a continuous state of inner disturbance described as arthadhyan in our philosophy. So, the very comfort that the Jeev was chasing becomes a source of unrest for the Jeev. The Jeev fosters an illusion of control, where it assumes that the comfort can be secured permanently and pain can be avoided through its own efforts. The philosophy asserts that both pleasant and unpleasant experiences rise from karmic fruition alone. They cannot be controlled, they can only be experienced. Trying to hold on to the pleasant and resist the unpleasant creates an inevitable tension of arthadhyan. Sukhabhas is actually the result of a karmic interplay. Jain philosophy offers a precise explanation to understand this illusory experience of sukh and avoid arthadhyan. It clarifies that experiences do not arise from the objects themselves. They arise due to karmic fruition. The Vedaniya karma generates sensations of pleasures and pain, sata and asata. Mohaniya karma distorts the jiva's interpretation of these sensations through rag and dvesh, attachment and aversion. Now, this distinction clearly explains that we do not suffer because of the objects themselves, but we suffer because of our interpretation and reaction to the experience, which is distorted by Mohaniya karma. On obtaining this right understanding, a shift occurs in the jiva where it is able to recognize that sata is not sukh, experiences are temporary, and reactions and not experiences are what cause suffering in the jiva. This enables the jiva to drop its doership, and helps it to become a gyata drishta during the uday of both sata and asata vedaniya karma. I would like to conclude by drawing your attention to our opening question. Why does materialism and mental distress rise together? It happens so because materialism is built on a misunderstanding that comfort is happiness, whereas Jain philosophy clarifies that what appears as happiness is merely sukhabhas. It is temporary, dependent, and unstable. True sukh, in contrast, is intrinsic, independent, unchanging, and eternal. It is akshay and avyabhad. Therefore, the solution to this problem does not lie in increasing comfort, but in correcting our understanding of happiness itself. When this clarity arises, dependence reduces, anxiety diminishes, and the jiva gradually moves towards stable, unobstructed well-being. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shreya. It is really, what shall I say, an eye-opener for me at least. See, I've always been wondering how happiness is linked in our life and what is the scientific, or what shall I say, analogy, or how do you explain through logic in Jainism. Therefore, your explanation and linking Sukhabhyas with desire and restlessness really made sense to me, and I hope to a lot of our audience also. Thank you very much. You're so kind. Now we move to the next part of the session. We have the heartiest pleasure to um, uh, the next speaker, to welcome our next speaker, who is Sunil Kumar Mehta. And this is a diametrically different perspective where he's going to enlighten us and share his thoughts about a violence free world. I would request Sunil Kumar Mehta to introduce himself in a very brief and concise manner. And your time will be 10 minutes from now. Uh, could you log in, Sunil Kumar Mehta, please?
सुनील सर, आप रेडी है? You call the next speaker till he responds.
Okay.
I think he's logging through two systems. Yeah, he is done.
हेलो, आपको आवाज आ रहा है?
हाँ आ रहा है सर, आवाज आ
हाँ,
रहा है सर। सुनील जी।
जय जिनेंद्र, मैं सुनील कुमार मेहता हूँ अहमदाबाद से। वैसे मैं अपना इंट्रोडक्शन दे दूं। आई वाज इन कस्टम इन एक्साइज फॉर लास्ट 30 इयर्स अप्रोक्सीमेटली, और मैं स्कॉलर तो नहीं हूँ, बट आई एम वर्किंग ऑन दिस वायलेंस फ्री वर्ल्ड फॉर लास्ट फ्यू इयर्स. It all started with just a friend asking me to do some translation to Hindi and English, and it appeared to me, and I just took it as a life for me. तो अभी मैं आपको ये शेयर करता हूँ, और आई विल बी स्पीकिंग मोस्टली इन हिंदी, इफ यू डोंट माइंड. I just
Today's seminar has been co-sponsored along with the other sessions and our physical session with the Department of Jainology being the lead person ahead.
notebook we have
Yeah.
prepared, and this is the notebook. In that, with that, you have just included many things in this, like why the person should be vegetarian, and the consequences of this. आपका बॉडी जो है वो वेजिटेरियन है, और आप जो भी खा रहे हैं वो वेजिटेरियन खाने से ही आपकी बॉडी को सूट करेगा. जबकि जैसे आपके दांत हैं, हाथ के नाखून हैं, ये आपकी आंखें हैं, पेट की आंत है, ये सब वेजिटेरियन जो जानवर हैं उनसे मिलते हुए हैं. जब आप नॉनवेज खाते हैं तो आपके पेट में जाके सड़ जाता है, और उससे आपके जो हेल्थ खराब रहती है, और जो भी बीमारियां उस नॉनवेज में होती है वो आपके अंदर आने के लिए चांसेस बहुत ज्यादा रहते हैं. इस तरह से कई चीजें इसमें दिखाई गई है, और साथ में ये दिखाया गया है कि आप जो खाना खा रहे हैं उसकी जो डॉक्टर्स बोलते हैं कि आप अगर नॉनवेज खा रहे हैं तो आपके लिए प्रोटीन में अच्छा है, वो सब भी गलत धारणा है, जिसको इसमें समझाया गया है कि अगर आप दाने खा रहे हैं या दूसरे जो सोयाबीन है इस तरह का, उनमें सब में ज्यादा प्रोटीन है, और सबसे आप वेजिटेरियन साइड से ये ज्यादा पोषक तत्व ले सकते हैं. तो इसी में अभी सुमनदीप यूनिवर्सिटी ने कुछ साल पहले ये किया था कि जो भी मांस श्रवण कर रहे थे लोग, 1 महीना जो उपवास करते हैं उनके ऊपर प्रयोग किया गया था. तो उसमें ये देखा गया था कि जिन्होंने कुछ भी नहीं खाया था उसके बाद भी बिना खाए भी उनकी जो हेल्थ ज्यादा अच्छी होनी थी, बीपीएल बढ़ रहा था. इससे ये धारणा भी गलत है कि अगर हम खाना नहीं खा रहे हैं या कोई चीज नहीं खा रहे हैं तो उससे हम तो ये बीमार हो जाएंगे. साथ में ये कहना चाहूंगा कि जो हिंसा है, जो हिंसा के लिए नॉर्मली हमें आता है कि किसी को मारना, युद्ध हो रहा है, यही हिंसा है. ये नहीं है, इसमें सूक्ष्म रूप से बहुत सी हिंसाएं हैं जो आप पर विचार कर रहे हैं, वाणी वर्तन इसके उससे वो उसमें भी हिंसा हो रही है, पर्यावरण की हिंसा हो रही है। और इन सब में हमारी जो दैनिक जो शैली है, जीवन शैली है, वो ज्यादा इफेक्ट कर रही है। और धीरे धीरे ये जो जीवन शैली हमारी बदल गई है, उसके कारण पर्यावरण का बहुत नुकसान हो रहा है और हिंसा बहुत हो रही है। आप ये देखेंगे कि अभी जो पृथ्वी पे प्राणी हैं, उसमें से करीब करीब 25,000 प्राणियों की प्रजातियां हर साल खत्म होती जा रही हैं। और अगर यही रफ्तार रही तो बहुत जल्दी ही हम इस सृष्टि पे बहुत से कम प्राणी पाए जाएंगे। इन सब के लिए हमें पर्यावरण की सुरक्षा करनी बहुत जरूरी है। और उसके लिए आज हमने ये प्रयास किया है कि नोटबुक के माध्यम से हमने करीब करीब 45,000 गुजराती की नोटबुक छपा के बच्चों में फ्री डिस्ट्रीब्यूट बांटी है। और करीब 1,000 कॉपी हिंदी की छपा के अलग अलग जगह दी है। और उनके काफी अच्छे रेस्पॉन्स आ रहे हैं। और हम लोग इसको प्रमोट कर रहे हैं कि आप ये कॉपीज अपने यहाँ छपा के बच्चों को बांटे। बच्चे जो स्कूल्स में अगर ये समझ जाएंगे तो आगे जिंदगी में कभी भी न तो मांसाहार करेंगे, पर्यावरण की रक्षा करेंगे और कम से कम वस्तुओं का इस्तेमाल करके अपनी जिंदगी को सरल बनाने का तरफ प्रयास करेंगे। यही हमारा इसमें संदेश है, जियो और जीने दो। और आप जितना ज्यादा इसको प्रमोट कर सकते हैं उतना करिए। हम इसकी जो किताब की हिंसा मुक्त विश्व की जो बुक है उस 80 बैनर्स बनाए हुए हैं। इसकी हमने कई स्कूल्स में इसकी प्रदर्शनी की है, पालीताना में प्रदर्शनी की है, अहमदाबाद में की है, बॉम्बे में की है, उदयपुर में की है। और इसके ऊपर क्विज भी रखे हैं। तो बच्चों ने इसको बहुत ज्यादा पसंद किया है। और इसके जाके जिन जिन भारत मतलब के लोगों को हमने किया है, दिए हैं। जैसे दुबई में मैं गया था तो इंग्लिश की बुक का विमोचन वहां किया था, तो वो को भी बहुत अच्छा संदेश दिया और कई लोगों ने उसको बहुत मतलब अप्रिशिएट भी किया। अभी ये है आप लोगों की भी इसमें बीच में है कि आप इसको कैसे इसको ज्यादा से ज्यादा प्रमोट करके आगे ले सकते हैं। नॉर्मली व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप के अंदर मैंने इसके दोनों हिंदी और इंग्लिश के जो बुक है उसके सॉफ्ट कॉपी दी है। इसके बारे में आपको जिसको भी ज्यादा जानकारी चाहिए तो वो आप मुझसे संपर्क कर सकते हैं। Sorry to say that I was not a scholar as per your expectation, but I have still tried my best to present it. My presentation and that PPT is there in the WhatsApp group. आप उससे थोड़ा देख के ज्यादा देख सकते। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू रिस्पेक्टेड सुनील कुमार जी मेहता। ये हमको सुन के बहुत खुशी हुई कि आपके प्रयास आज स्कूल चिल्ड्रन जो बड़े बच्चे हैं, आज के बच्चे कल के आगे बन के रिस्पॉन्सिबल सिटीजन्स बनेंगे और अपने पक्के श्रावक बनेंगे और धर्म की आगे प्रभावना वो खुद ही करने वाले हैं। मतलब तो इट्स रियली वेरी नाइस टू नोट कि आपने अभी तक करीबन 35,000 के ऊपर के अधिकतम आपने बच्चों को रीच आउट किया है। और हमारे इस सेमिनार के माध्यम से ये हमको जान के बहुत खुशी हुई। थैंक यू सुनील कुमार जी। नाउ वी मूव टू द yes sir, so you can switch off your video sir. Now we move to the next part. The next presenter will be Vibha Chordia. She is an IT and finance professional for over 20 years, and she has been associated with JAS, the Jain Academy of Scholars. She's also completed her Prakrit, and she's now doing her Parmagam Honors course from the Pandit Todamal Institute in Jaipur. Over to Vibha Chordia.
Thank you, sir. Jai Jinendra, Panch Parmeshti ko Naman. Thanks a lot, University of Madras and its Department of Jainology, Research Foundation for Jainology, Chennai, and Jain Academy of Scholars for giving me this opportunity. Like Shreya ji, it's my first paper as well. And I would like to first thank as well, like Priyadarshana ma'am as well. I've learned Prakrit from her and doing Pamagam honors course with her. So she's been inspiration for me, and she only connected me to Jain Academy of Scholars. I would also like to start with thanking Dr. Narendra Sir Bhandari ji, because with his guidance only I was able to do this first attempt of writing this paper. All right, I'll get started. Have you been thinking of doing fasting, long fasting a long while, or is Varshit up in your bucket list? But your mind is not helping you. Like maybe your body is supporting, you're capable to do it, but your mind is saying, no, this is not my cup of tea. It will be too hard. I don't know what would be my health, playing up and things like that. So this paper, which I'll be sharing, have given you some idea of what those people who have tried and what was their outcome, what were the results. So let's have a look. Hopefully this will give you some sort of like motivation or inspiration that, yeah, I can give it a go. So I'll start with sharing my screen here. I believe you can see my screen now. All right. I'll just move this thing here. So to give you a bit of introduction, what is Varshita? For those, I believe most of you would know, but just for those who are watching and who are not aware of, it's a 13-month long alternate day fasting. So one day upvas, next day eating, and eating again very constrained. The second one, I would like to say it ends on Akshay Tritiya. So it's coming this year around 19th or 20th of April, and there'll be lots of people doing that. The third one, its origins are traced to Bhagwan Rishabdev in Tri Shrishti Shalaka Purush. We can find the description of Bhagwan Rishabdev doing fast. So he didn't do alternate day fasting. He continuously did it. But today, Jain, Shravak and Shravika, a lot of Jain Shravaks and Shravika aspire to do that, and it's in their bucket list, like my husband's bucket list. It's practice for spiritual discipline, and a lot of karmic purification happens there. We shred karmas. It's a very big example of nirjara, and it's the first Bahya tap in terms of anshan, but again people do other four taps as well as uh, along with this as part of this. So when they eat, there's a lot of control when they eat, and also very systematic and timely eating. So with this survey that we did, we wanted to explore the potential benefit of doing Varshitap in terms of physical and health benefits. Spiritually, a lot of benefits, as we all know, because it's a nirjara, one type of tap. But in terms of physical and health, physical and mental health benefits, we wanted to explore this further. Moving on. So the participants that we had, there were 42 participants, and they were aging from 16 years to 69, on average 54 years. So those which we had, 60% of the male and 40% of females whom we surveyed. And their weight before the Varshitab started was roughly ranging from 51 to 102 kilos, on average weighing around 70 kilos. The method of survey that I would also like to say, yes, these people did Varshitab in Shantinagar, Usmanpura in Ahmedabad. And I would also like to call this wasn't like a controlled clinical study. It was more of this data that we're going to share is based on interviews and self-reporting. The data was collected with a questionnaire where we were asking what was your body weight before and after, how did you feel during the Varshitab and after, what were your existing conditions, what sort of medication you were taking, what had happened to your energy level, your focus, your clarity, and things like that. So the results that we got from those surveys, that on average 9.2 kilos of weight loss. And again, those people who wanted, I'm not saying that this is the way to go, but those who try to do dieting and lose their weight, I'm not saying that we should be doing Varshita for that, but this is one like impact. So instead of doing at times crazy diets, if we can go within, do tapa, and at the same time be able to achieve our goal. along with spiritual, the physical and mental goal, then Varshita can help you based on these results. Also, 70% participants reported that either there was improvement in their disease status or they got cured altogether. And here the diseases that we were talking about were diabetes, hypertension, thyroid, and cardiac conditions. Also, people um, noted that either their medication was stopped or the dose was reduced. That was what we heard. I think the best part was qualitative outcomes, because many participants described enhanced mental clarity, emotional stability, energy regulation, and of course, spiritual well being. This way, reflecting both physiological adaptation and sociological resilience associated with this prolonged disciplined fasting. Most of the participants expressed happiness and satisfaction having observed this long fasting protocol, because it was for their spiritual betterment as well as it turned out to be very good for their physical and mental health. These findings suggest that Varshita, while rooted in Jain religion, religious traditions, it may confer measurable physiological and mental health benefits as well. So, further prospective studies incorporating objective like biochemical markers are definitely required. I would like to do some acknowledgement and conclusion, and if any questions, would like to take those as well. First of all, we would like to thank all those 42 participants who were open to share their details and give this data. Secondly, Shri Babulalji Dhanraji, Ankita Shah, and Ashisha Parik for their assistance in collection of this data. This was happened in 2023. And also, I would like to thank Dr. Ashish Shah for his valuable comments in this paper that I had submitted. If I can conclude, Varshita fasting appears to be associated with meaningful weight loss, positive health perception, and at the same time, high satisfaction among participants. It is a long duration Jain fasting practice, but it offers unique model of spirituality motivated lifestyle intervention along with holistic health benefits. Obviously, the number of participants here were 42. To validate these findings, we would want to do rigorous clinical research. So actually doing blood tests, actually taking their blood pressures, monitoring their sugar levels and whatnot before, during, and after the fasting with much larger sample to further validate these findings. But I would like to summarize here that one thing, yes, one thing that had struck me, if personally I can share, um, I had heard again from Priyadarshana ma'am as well, that while doing Varshita, when you're eating, if you can use a bit of naturopathy along with it, then those people who are finding it hard, I think can have exponential benefits as well in terms of health. I think, pause here. If any questions, otherwise I'll hand it back. And once again, I'll thank everybody. Sir Shantiji Choradia, Priyadarshana ma'am, Department of Jainology, and most importantly, Dr. Narendra Sir Bhandariji, because without his guidance and his motivation, I wouldn't have been able to get into this sort of research we're presenting to people. Thank you.
Thank you, Vibhaji. It's been a big delight and pleasure to listen to your feedback about your findings about Jain fasting, and the way that you started by saying that, is it on your bucket list? I think that's a big inspiration for everybody. I'm sure that these findings will install confidence in a lot of people to enable them to embark on this time honored Jain ritual, and also enable people to understand the what should I say, the religious perspective behind this um, exercise. Okay, we'll defer the questions till the end, uh, ma'am, if it's fine with you. That's what Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am had indicated, so that we complete all these speakers at one shot. Okay, thank you, Vibhaji. Okay, now we move to the next speaker, and it's our heartiest pleasure to invite Dr. Achyut Kant Jain to give his presentation. He is an assistant professor at the Center for Jain Studies, Jain University, Bangalore, and he's a prestigious awardee of the UGC NET JRF. He is qualified for that. And incidentally, he has completed his MA and PhD from Jain Vishwa Bharati, Ladno. Dr. Achyut Khan Jain.
Jai Jain to all of you. Thank you so much, Shanti sir and Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am for this opportunity. My paper entitled as When Causes Talk, Banarsi Das Dialogue on Nimit Upadan. So today I briefly discuss the philosophical dialogue composed by the 17th century's Jain poet and philosopher Banarsi Das, which deals with the relationship between instrumental cause and material cause, which we commonly known as Nimit and Upadan. So this short composition preserved in the anthology of Banarsi Vilas is remarkable because it transforms a complex metaphysical debate into a poetic dialogue that is both philosophically sophisticated as well as pedagogically accessible. The question of causation has always been central to Indian philosophy. Within Jain philosophy, the debate between Nimit and Upadan is the central and particularly very important for the debates of soteriology. This issue is not merely theoretical, as it has a direct implications for the spiritual practices. If liberation depends primarily on the soul's own inherent nature, then self-effort becomes central. However, if external factors such as guidance of teacher are essential, then the role of Nimit becomes equally important. Banarsi Das addresses this problem through a 7-verse poetic dialogue which dramatizes the debate and ultimately reconciles the two positions. Let's have a brief introduction about the Banarsi Das and to set up the context of our talk. Banarsi Das was a Jain poet, philosopher, and a merchant from Agra. He is well known for the writing of Ardha Katanak, which is considered as the earliest autobiography in Hindi literature. His thought was strongly influenced by the Adhyatma movement, which emphasized inner spiritual transformation rather than external ritual practices. So the Adhyatma tradition and the reading of Samaysar, which later on converted into the Tera Panth Shaili, is more or less influenced by the Banarsi Das. Within this intellectual environment, the debate about Nimitta and Upadan became highly significant because it has raised a crucial question. Does liberation arise from the soul itself or does it depend on external guidance? Banarsi Das approached this issue not through the scholastic prose, but through the vernacular poetry, making the complex philosophical ideas accessible to the lay audiences. So let's study how are the structure of the dialogue. The composition follows the classical Indian philosophical structure of Purva Paksh and Uttar Paksh. So firstly, the objection is there and then he gave the response. So the Purva Paksh, which is the objection, is the argument given from the perspective of instrumental cause. In the first 2 verses, a disciple argues Nimitt is essential. 2 analogies are given for that. First, a person with 1 leg cannot walk without support. The second analogy, a ship cannot move without the assistance of wind. These examples suggest that internal capacity alone is insufficient, which is obviously a upadan, and external assistance is necessary for action. Thus, according to the disciple, the upadan without nimit is powerless. So, as per the Uttar Paksha, the primacy of upadan is being introduced by Banarsi Das. So, Banarsi Das respond in the verses 3 to 6. First, he introduced the crucial philosophical framework, the distinction between nishtay and vyavhar. From the nishtay, from the absolute standpoint, the upadan is the real cause. From the vyavhar standpoint, nimit plays an important role. He illustrates this through the analogy of eyes and feet, gyan and kriya. Just as both knowledge and action are necessary on the path of liberation, both upadan and nimit function in their respective domains. However, they are not equal in ontological status. Upadan represent the intrinsic transformation of the substance, while nimit merely provide the external conditions. Since the upadan is the soul itself or the material itself and nimit is the other substance, here the concept of bhed vigyan, the distinction between swa and par, introduced. Another important idea introduced in this dialogue is a bhed vigyan. So this refers to the swa, self, and the par, other. Recognizing this distinction is essential in Jain spirituality because bondage occurs when the soul mistakenly identifies with external factors. Thus, understanding the difference between Upadan and Nimit became a soteriological insight, not merely a philosophical one. So, what the final solution given by Banasidas? So, in the final verse, Banasidas offer a balanced resolution. He explains that Upadan represents the real process of transformation, which ultimately cannot be fully described in language. Somehow, we also bringing the concept of Saptabhangi, Avaktavya. Nimitta function is the instruction or explanation, helping communicate the process. He illustrates this through the metaphor just as a person adopts the dress of a country in which they live. Explanation of causation change according to the perspective. This reflects the doctrine of Anekantvad, uses of Syadvad in the very important debate of causality, which emphasizes the plurality of our viewpoints. Thus, instead of choosing between Nimit and Upadan, Banasida shows that both operate within different perspectives of reality and on a different occasion, on the different time. Sometimes the emphasis on Nimit is given, and other times the emphasis on Upadan is given. So this dialogue is very important for several reasons. First, it provides one of the earliest Jain discussion that explicitly dramatizes the debate between Nimit and Upadan. In the literature written before Banasidas, we can find sometimes Nimit and Upadan in the form of Antaranga and Bahiranga Hetu, and the similar nomenclature for the Nimit and Upadan. But Banasidas is the first person who brings the debate, Nimit and Upadan as a form of debate. So this is the first contribution we can, as per my knowledge, we can find in the earliest form of debate on causality with respect to soteriology. Second contribution of this dialogue is it integrates the Nishtay and Vyavhar framework. Additionally, in the theory of causation, Banasi Das is the first person or a first writer who introduced Nishtay and Vyavhar. And that too, which we can clearly see there, Banasi Das was a person who was highly influenced by the teachings of Kunda Kunda and especially text Samaysara. Samaysar explicitly uses the Nishtay and Vyavhar Naya here and there. So it's very clear that the Nishtay and Vyavhar Nyay used in the work of Kunda Kunda, especially in Samay Sar, influenced and he might be get the motivations to use that Nishtay and Vyavhar Nyay perspective in the debate of causation. So he used the Nishtay Vyavhar framework. However, he is not the first person to use the framework of standpoints because we can find the Dravyarthik Nyay and Paryarthik Nyay used in early literature. The third contribution that I find of Banasidas' dialogue is he is the first person to use the vernacular poetry for the metaphysical debate and ideas so that it can be widely accessible to the audience as a layperson. So in this way, the text represents a significant contribution to the Jain Adhyatma philosophical tradition. To conclude, Banarsida's seven-verse dialogue provides a nuanced understanding of causation in Jain philosophy. It demonstrates that Upadan is the soul intrinsic capacity, is the ultimate source of transformation. The Nimit includes the teacher and external condition, also plays an important role. The dialogue therefore presents a balanced philosophical insight, while in some of the verses, there's also the emphasis of material cause. So while spiritual transformation ultimately arises from within, external guidance and conditions still have a practical significance. Through the poetic dialogue, Banasida successfully combines philosophy, pedagogy, and literary expression, making this short composition an important contribution of Jain intellectual history. So this is my working paper. Another one, if we see, since I have a 1 minute, I just want to add one more thing. Since we are, if we see critically about this dialogue, and it's my working paper, we clearly see that there are certain limitations of the dialogue also. Banasidas uses the analogy in a Purv Paksh as well as in Uttar Paksh, but in philosophy, Especially if we see the Jain logicians in, for example, the Manikinandi in Parikshamok, the Hemchandracharya in Praman Mimansa, or Praman Netatpavlok, etc. The Jain logicians clearly established the limitations done only on the basis of Drishtant, analogy. So, however, he presented the analogical reasoning, but analogical reasoning is not itself is enough in a philosophical debate. So thus, these are the certain limitations of this dialogue. However, we can clearly see this. He used the analogy so that the wider audience can accept, can understand the philosophical debates and metaphysical debates. Thank you so much for hearing me and providing me this opportunity. Jai Hind to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Achyut Kant Jain. It's really a lot of an eye opener for us. And while you're talking, I just quickly did a Google search on Sri Banarsi Das's um, uh, contribution to our Jain literature. And to understand your talk, which was really full of scholarly insights, I found that on a layman's language, Sri Banarsi Das ji emphasized a balance of upadan, which is our inner ability on the instrumental cause, and nimit, which is the instrumental cause, in his poetic works, especially Natak Samaysar. So you have actually captured the essence of what his intent was, and you have illustrated it in a very nice manner. Thank you, Dr. Achyut Kant ji.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just a small correction. It's not in Natak Samaysar. Natak Samaysar is a different work of Banarsi Das. It is in Banarsi Vilas, which is a compositions of several poems of Banarsi Das, and it is being compiled by one of his friend after the death of Banarsi Das, which is Jagjeevan. So he compiled the other poems of the Banarsi Das. So it is from Banarsi Vilas instead of Natak Samaysar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I stand corrected. I think this is one of the pitfalls of AI and other Google sources. So it's really nice that we have research scholars who would put forth the correct facts before us. Now we move ahead. And since we do not have Gaurav Jain and Manish with us, who are scheduled to talk, I would next like to invite Piyush uh, Piyush Vasa. Piyush ji, are you online? Can you come online
Yes,
and
sir.
tell
Am I
us a
audible,
little
sir?
bit? Yes, you can just in one a half minute, you could introduce yourself, sir,
Sure.
and
So
then
my
you
name
could
is
broach your
yes, sir.
topic in 10 minutes time.
Sure, definitely, sir. Thank you very much. I'm IT engineer since almost over 25 years of
Your video is
experience.
switched off, sir. Can you switch on your video, please?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, am I audible? I mean, am I?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Please go ahead.
So I'm IT person working in the TCS almost more than 2.5 years. I mean, 25 years of the experience, and currently with all AR, VR, and all kind of the technology I'm working on. And currently, I'm the PhD scholar from KJ Somaya Institute of Dharma Studies in Mumbai. And yeah, that's all from my side. So I will like to share my screen. Uh, Let me know once you're able to see my screen, sir.
We're able to see the screen, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and thank you for opportunity to present my paper. My presentation today is titled Anekantwas is a framework for the social and global harmony. The central questions I address is how a classical Jain philosophy doctrine can help us think more clearly about harmony in contemporary and deeply plural societies. This particular slide shows about the contemporary context. I will just explain that particular thing there here. So we live in a world marked by the intense diversity. Cultural, religious, ideological, and political differences are no longer marginal. They are part of everyday social life. The globalization has increased contact between the groups, but it has not necessarily increased understanding. In many contexts, we see growing polarization, mistrust, and conflict. Debates quickly harden into the fixed position, and disagreement is often treated as a threat rather than a shared problem to be examined together. This slide shows about my research problem. The core problem this paper addresses is that pluralism, which unavoidable, often leads to the tension when it is combined with the rigid truth claims. When individuals or communities believe that their own perspective is complete or final, the dialogue weakens. This reduces the social cohesion and make the cooperation on the shared concerns, such as environmental protection, interfaith relations, or social justice, extremely difficult. The aim of this study is to examine whether the Jain doctrine of Anekantavad can offer an ethical and practical framework for addressing this challenge. I approach Anekantavad not only as a metaphysical or epistemological idea, but as a way of thinking that can be applied to the real social situations. My focus is on its contemporary relevance and its potential use across the different domains of a public life. Here, Anekantavad is a core idea. At its core, Anekantavad is a doctrine of non-absolutism. It holds that the reality is many-sided and complex, and that no single viewpoint can capture in its eternity. Human knowledge is therefore partial and context-dependent. This does not mean that the truth does not exist. Rather, it means that our access to the truth is always limited by the perspective. Recognizing this limitation is the starting point of the intellectual humility. Jain epistemic framework. This idea is supported within the Jain philosophy by two closely related doctrines. The first one is a Naivad, which teaches that every statement is made from a particular viewpoint or a Naya, and different viewpoints reveal the different aspects of the same reality. And the second one is the Shadvad, which is the doctrine of the conditional prediction, which qualifies the claims by acknowledging the conditions under which they are true. Anekantvad and social harmony. When applied to the social life, Anekantvad has important implications for harmony. It softens rigid positions by encouraging individuals to recognize the limit of their own views. Disagreement is no longer seen as a zero-sum conflict between the right and wrong, but it is an encounter between the partial understandings. This shift in attitude makes dialogue possible, and it is also reduced the emotional escalation as people feel less threatened when their identity is not tied to the absolute certainty. Interfaith conflict resolution. The one area where this approach is especially relevant in interfaith conflict resolution. Religious conflicts often arise from the exclusive truth claims and deep emotional commitments. And Anekantvad does not ask participants to abandon their beliefs, but instead, it asks them to acknowledge that their beliefs express one perspective among many. Environmental ethics. Another important application is environmental ethics. Jain philosophy emphasizes the interdependence of all forms of the life, a view captured in the principle that living beings support one another. When combined with Anekantavad, this leads to an ecological ethic grounded in humanity. Environmental problems involve many stakeholders, including human communities, non-human life, economic interest, and future generations. A many-sided approach helps avoid simplistic solutions and support cooperative action based on the shared responsibility. Corporate and organization life, the main idea here is that is my experience is almost 2.5 decades in corporate. So that is what I can apply that particular thing in Anekantvad in corporate world a lot. The paper also explores the relevance of the Anekantvad in corporate and organizational life. The modern organizations operate in a diverse and often conflict-prone environment. The decision-making that relies on the single dominant perspective frequently leads to the resistance, inefficiency, or ethical failure. Anekantavad encourages inclusive decision making by the recognizing the partial validity of a different stakeholder views. And this approach supports the conflict resolution, ethical leadership, and innovation as a diverse perspective are treated as a resource rather than the obstacles. In my research paper, I'm presenting a one particular model, which I'm giving the name as Anekantvad management model. And what exactly consists of is that to translate this insight into the more structured form, I propose the Anekantvad management model, or AMM. This model outlines 4 basic steps. First, recognizing the multiplicity of the perspective involved in any issue. Second, facilitating respectful dialogue without dismissing the opposing views. Third, integrating the partial truths to form a more comprehensive understanding. And finally, balancing the outcomes in a way that avoids extreme and the 6 long-term harmony. Case illustration I'm giving as I'm working with the Tata Tata Consultancy Services, and my entire life is with the Tata. So I thought that I can give one particular illustration of the Tata Group here. To illustrate this model, the paper examines the Tata Group as a case example. Tata's approach to the balancing stakeholder demands, ethical responsibility, and long-term trust reflects many of the principles associated with non-absolute thinking. While non-explicitly framed in Jain philosophical terms, the company's practice demonstrates how plural perspectives can be integrated without sacrificing the performance or values. The key findings of this study is that Anekantvad is not merely a theoretical doctrine confined to the classical text. It functions as a practical ethical orientation that can strengthen social cohesion, reduce conflict, and enable cooperation across differences. By encouraging openness without the relativism and commitment without the dogmatism, it offers a balanced path towards the harmony. This is the last slide of my presentation, where I'm concluding. In conclusion, harmony in today's world is not optional. It is necessary for the collective survival and well-being. Absolutist approaches limit dialogue and deepen division. Anekantvad offers an alternative by reminding us that the multiple perspectives do not weaken truth, but enrich our understanding of it. Embracing many sidedness, I argue, is not a philosophical luxury, but a practical requirement for peaceful coexistence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your elucidation on Anekantvad has been really very impressive and has very endearing. In today's conflict world, if we can utilize this tool to create more harmony, then nothing like it. Your professional excellence with TCS has really motivated all of us by seeing your meticulous presentation. Thank you, Piyushji. So kind of you.
Thank you very much.
Now we have 3 more speakers ahead of us. The next 2 speakers are Arunaji and Chandrakalaji. They are students of Sashan Jain College. And I request Arunaji to start, followed by Chandrakalaji. And we have a very special guest speaker in the last, Dr. Veer Sagarji. Hopefully he will join us. So next speaker, Arunaji, please start.
Sorry, sir. It will be Chandrakala who will be starting the thing.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
हीरा जैसा जैन परिवार हमको मिला है ये उपहार इंद्र नरेंद्र करता पुकार जीती बाजी हो मत हार. Jai Jinendra. Aruna and myself both are glad to be the part of this seminar. We are here to talk about सात कुवेसन. बुरी आदत कुवेसन जीवन करे खराब. बुरी आदत कुवेसन जीवन करे खराब. छोड़ इन्हें जो चल पड़े पावे सुख बेहिसाब. पावे सुख बेहिसाब. जैन धर्म में प्रश्न पूछना सामायिक ज्ञान यानी राइट नॉलेज प्राप्त करने का एक महत्वपूर्ण साधन माना गया है. लेकिन सभी सत्य की ओर नहीं ले जाते। कुछ प्रश्न गलत, अनुचित या गलत भावना से पूछे जाते हैं। इन्हें कुव्यसन कहा जाता है। कुव्यसन का अर्थ है गलत या अनुचित प्रकार की जिज्ञासा। ऐसे प्रश्न सत्य को समझने में सहायता नहीं करते, बल्कि भ्रम, संदेह और मिथ्या ज्ञान उत्पन्न करते हैं। जैन आगमों में ऐसे प्रश्नों से बचने की सलाह दी गई है, क्योंकि ये आत्मा की उन्नति और मोक्ष मार्ग में बाधा बनते हैं। जैन धर्म में 7 कुव्यसन पर विशेष बल दिया गया है, ताकि व्यक्ति सही ज्ञान प्राप्त कर सके और मोक्ष मार्ग पर आगे बढ़ सके। जुआ खेल धन नाश हो, बड़े मन में लालच। जुआ खेल धन नाश हो, बड़े मन में लालच। सुख शांति सब दूर हो, जीवन बने विफल। जीवन बने विफल। जी हाँ, जुआ जुआ खेलने से अक्सर आर्थिक नुकसान, मानसिक तनाव और सामाजिक समस्या उत्पन्न होती है। जुआ अज्ञान, लोभ और गलत निर्णय पैदा करता है। जुआ खेलने का कारण जल्दी धन कमाने की इच्छा या अहंकार और लोभ को बढ़ाता है। इससे कुव्यसन की पहली श्रेणी जुड़ती है। जैसे महाभारत में पांडवों ने जुआ खेलकर अपनी संपत्ति और इज्जत गंवाई। आजकल जैसे ऑनलाइन बेटिंग एप्स, आईपीएल बेटिंग, कैसीनो गेम्स, कार्ड गैम्बलिंग, ये सभी आधुनिक रूप है जो व्यक्ति को धर्म और नैतिकता से दूर कर सकता है। जैन धर्म अहिंसा, संयम और अपरिग्रह सिखाता है। जुआ इन सभी के विपरीत है, क्योंकि यह लोभ बढ़ाता है, मानसिक हिंसा पैदा करता है और असंयम को बढ़ावा देता है। मदपान से बुद्धि घटे, मिटे सही पहचान। मदपान से बुद्धि घटे, मिटे सही पहचान। गलत राह पर चल पड़े, खोए अपना मान। खोए अपना मान। जी हाँ, अल्कोहल। आज के वर्तमान पीढ़ी में शराब का सेवन एक आम सामाजिक प्रवृत्ति बनता जा रहा है। कई युवा इसे फैशन, तनाव से राहत या दोस्तों के साथ मौज मस्ती के रूप में अपनाते हैं। पार्टी, क्लब, जन्मदिन या ऑफिस गेट टुगेदर में शराब पीना आजकल सामान्य माना जाता है। जैसे एक कॉलेज का स्टूडेंट दोस्त के साथ बर्थडे पार्टी में पहली बार शराब पीता है, धीरे धीरे यह आदत बन जाता है और वह हर छोटे बड़े पार्टी में शराब लेना शुरू कर देता है। इसका प्रभाव स्वास्थ्य पर बुरा असर, मानसिक तनाव, नियंत्रण में कमी, पढ़ाई और करियर पर नकारात्मक प्रभाव, पारिवारिक और सामाजिक संबंधों में दूरी। जैन धर्म में शराब सेवन को अहिंसा और असंयम और अहिंसा के विरुद्ध माना गया है, बिकॉज यह मन और शरीर पर नियंत्रण को कम करता है और गलत कर्मों की ओर जा सकता है। इस प्रकार वर्तमान पीढ़ी में शराब सेवन बढ़ता जा रहा है, लेकिन इसके दुष्प्रभावों को समझकर इससे बचना आवश्यक है, ताकि स्वास्थ्य और संयमित जीवन जिया जा सकता है। मदपान से बुद्धि घटे, मिटे नहीं पहचान। मदपान से बुद्धि घटे, मिटे सही पहचान। गलत राह पर चल पड़े, खोए अपना मान। गलत राह पर चल पड़े, खोए अपना मान। आज के जीव हत्या से पाप बढ़े, घटे दया का भाव। जीव हत्या से पाप बढ़े, घटे दया का भाव। अहिंसा जो पालन करे वही सच्चा प्रभाव। अहिंसा का पालन करे वही सच्चा प्रभाव। जैन धर्म का सबसे बड़ा सिद्धांत अहिंसा है। किसी जीव को कष्ट देना पाप माना जाता है। हिंसा से क्रूरता और कठोरता बढ़ती है, आध्यात्मिक विकास रुक जाता है। इसलिए जैन धर्म में हिंसा को कुव्यसन माना जाता है। जैसे आजकल के जनरेशन मल्टी कुसैन रेस्टोरेंट जाते हैं, जहां पर वेज नॉन वेज दोनों बनता है, ये भी मांस मदिरा सेवन को माना जाता है। एक जैन परिवार का युवा इंस्टाग्राम पर फूड रील्स देखकर नॉनवेज के लिए आकर्षित हो जाता है और दोस्तों के साथ बाहर जाते समय वह इसे फैशन या ट्रेंड के रूप में अपनाता है, बिना धार्मिक प्रभाव को समझे। आज की पीढ़ी मांसाहार को बढ़ावा दे रहा है, लेकिन जैन धर्म हमें सही समझ अपनाने और अहिंसा मार्ग पर चलाने की प्रेरणा देता है। ओवर टू अरुणा।
Jai Jinendra, good evening to all. I am Aruna, currently doing the diploma course in Jainology in Shashan Jain College. And I am here to continue the topic with the fourth Vyasid, which is infidelity or adultery. It is an irresponsible sexual behavior and condemned in Jainism. It is seen as a distraction that leads to moral decay and a loss of focus on spiritual growth. The unhealthy sexual act results in loss of bodily strength, and socially it disturbs the code of common ethics so essential for peace in domestic life. Today, it is one of the gravest challenge in the society which is facing. Dating app, live-in relationship. By this, the young generation are easily carried away by this in this vessel. The fifth व्यसन will be stealing, chori karna. Stealing or theft is a major व्यसन in Jainism, as it involves taking something that doesn't belong to you, leading to dishonesty, greed, and harm to others. Jainism teaches contentment and honesty, encouraging individuals to live within their means and avoid the desire for excessive material wealth. By practicing non-stealing, Jains contribute to a culture of sustainability where resources are used responsibly and equitably. This principle encourages mindful consumption, which is essential for environmental conservation. The sixth vyasan will be hunting. Jainism gives equal importance to the life of an insect, animal, or a plant as it does to a man. It calls for equal treatment of all beings. Hunting is one of the most explicit form of violence against animal, and Jainism strictly forbids it as it violates the principle of ahimsa. For an environmental standpoint, hunting disrupts ecosystem, leads to the extinction of species, and upset the natural balance of wildlife population. The overhunting of animals, whether for a sport, trade, or for food, had caused the decline and extinction of many species, leading to a loss of biodiversity. The Tattvat Sutra states that all life is bound together by mutual support and interdependence. Hurting and killing any life form is similar to hurting and killing oneself. The seventh vyasan will be associating with prostitute or sex workers. The addiction to visit sex workers can have a harmful effect on one's physical, emotional, and mental well being. Breaking free from this addiction requires determination, support, and commitment to personal well being. Breaking free from this addiction, the risk of sexual transmitted disease is high, and transmitting the disease to one's spouse is also most likely. Many sex workers enter the trade due to poverty, lack of education. This exploitation often leads to physical, emotional, and psychological abuse, creating a cycle of victimization that is difficult to escape. Thus, we see that Saptavyasan or the seven addiction have grave implication all around. They impact the individual, also the environment. In the world, facing ecological crises such as climate change, deforestation, and biodiversity loss, embracing a disciplined lifestyle by avoiding the vessel, individual can uplift their physical, mental, and emotional personality and also reduce their environmental footprints, protect ecosystem, and contribute to the overall health of the planet for future generation. व्यसन-free life व्यसन-free life is paramount if one wants to cultivate virtues. It is important to note that overcoming addiction is a personal journey and an individual responsibility. It is essential as it builds the moral fabric of the society. An ethical society is an empowered society that looks after the well being of all and fosters trust and respect. One must always remember that the change begins with me. That's all we have. And I thank everyone for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandrakala ji and Aruna ji, for a very simple language. You have conveyed the message, and I'm sure that it's been well received by our audience, because these Saptavashan, they cause severe karmic bondage and misery for a true Shravak. So unless we adopt it in our day-to-day lives, then there's no progress ahead. Thank you very much. Um, I would now request if Dr. Veer Sagarji is available online. He had promised to join us today evening, if his schedule would permit, to carry this forward. Otherwise, I request Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am to give her concluding remarks and invite any questions from our audience. Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am. This will be followed by the vote of thanks to be rendered by Ashok sir. As you all know, that the seminar, physical attendance at the University of Madras, was coordinated by a team of more than 35 to 40 people who are working tirelessly for the last 3 months. And I'm sure that all these volunteers will be really happy if you are able to understand the import of these speakers and their collective wisdom, and we'll be able to imbibe it in our lives. That is the essence of this whole seminar, which is practical Jainism as applied to real day-to-day life. Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am, if you would like to join now. I think she's trying to get Dr. Veer Sagarji. I have shared with you Dr. Veer Sagarji's profile on the chat, and it's really 38 years of academic excellence. His efforts are marathon. So I hope that he'll be able to join us. Otherwise, it'll be Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am.
I think, sir, Visagar sir has
Yeah.
joined already.
I am here. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Professor Veer Sagarji is the head and department of Jain philosophy at the Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri Rashtriya Sanskrit University, New Delhi. He completed his PhD in 1988. And I'm just calculating the number of years, sir, जिसने आपके धर्म की प्रभावना में आपने आपका लाइफ अर्पण किया है. It's totally 38 years. And he was been with us on several occasions at the Bhaktamar seminar in Chennai, and also the earlier occasions. Last 27 years, his focus has been on Jain Darshan. So, sir, बहुत आपने कृपा करी आपका टाइम स्पेंड करने के लिए. Thank you, sir, and over to you, sir.
नमो जिणाणम. देखो, आपने इतना बड़ा सेमिनार किया, तो मैंने आप पर कोई विशेष कृपा नहीं की है. मैंने तो आपने जो इतना बड़ा ज्ञान यज्ञ किया है, उसमें मैंने भी एक छोटा सा अर्घ चढ़ाने की भावना रखी है. और मैं इन दिनों जैन दर्शन के स्यादवाद सिद्धांत को बहुत पढ़ रहा हूँ. उस पर एक पुस्तक भी लिख रहा हूँ, जिसमें 120 पेज मैंने लिख लिए हैं. और मैं इस विषय में इन दिनों डूबा हुआ हूँ. जब आपके सेमिनार के लिए लेख इनवाइट किए जा रहे थे, उस समय मैं लेख लिख रहा था समय सार में स्यादवाद, और मैंने वही लेख आपको सेमिनार के लिए भेज दिया. तो मेरा आज का विषय है समय सार में स्यादवाद. मैंने इस तरह के और भी कुछ लेख लिखे हैं, जैसे प्रवचन सार में स्यादवाद, अष्टसहस्री में स्यादवाद, कई ग्रंथों के आधार से कुछ शोध पत्र तैयार किए हैं। मैं जो कुछ कहना चाहता हूं इस शोध पत्र के द्वारा, वो शॉर्ट में बात ये है कि हम चाहे समय सार पढ़ें, चाहे गोमठ सार पढ़ें, चाहे पद्म पुराण पढ़ें, चाहे रत्नकरंड श्रावकाचार पढ़ें, जो भी पढ़ें, कभी भी एक सेकंड को भी ये न भूलें कि जिनवाणी का हर वचन स्यादवादमय होता है। मुझे गोमट्ट सार की कर्म कांड की 895 895 नंबर की गाथा ने बहुत अधिक आंदोलित किया। इस गाथा में ये लिखा है बहुत साफ साफ, गाथा ये है, परसमयाणं वयणं मिच्छा खलु सवः वयणा जेणाणं पुणवयणं सम्मं कुकहंचि वयणादो। इसका हिंदी अर्थ ये है कि अन्य मतों के सब कथन मिथ्या हैं, क्योंकि उसका एक ही कारण है, उनमें सर्वथा शब्द लगा होता है। और जैनों के सभी वचन सत्य हैं, क्योंकि उसका भी एक ही कारण है कि वहां कथनचित शब्द लगा होता है। ये बात मुझे इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट लगी। जैन आचार्य ये कहना चाहते हैं कि प्रत्येक वाक्य खंडित वाक्य होता है, खंडित सत्य का प्रतिपादन करता है। उसका अपना एक संदर्भ होता है, उसका अपना एक प्रसंग होता है, उसकी एक अपनी अपेक्षा होती है। यदि आप उसको नहीं मानेंगे तो आप जैन दर्शन का ही विनाश करेंगे, आपको जैन तत्व ज्ञान समझ में नहीं आएगा। और ये बात मैंने इस लेख में उस समय सार के आधार पर कही है, जिसके आधार पर कुछ लोग जो समय सार को ठीक से नहीं समझ पाए, कुछ लोग उसमें एकांत से चीजों का ग्रहण कर रहे हैं, एकांत से समझ रहे समझा रहे हैं। तो वहां पर मैंने ये पाया पूरे समय सार में कि वहां कदम कदम पर समय सार में भी स्यादवाद भरा हुआ है। अगर उनकी टीकाएं ले लें जब, तो कहना ही क्या। आचार्य अमृत चंद्र समय सार के टीकाकार है, पर वे मुझे समंत भद्र से कम स्यादवादी नहीं दिखाई देते हैं। उनका कोई ग्रंथ नहीं है जहां स्यादवाद की चर्चा तिल में तेल की भांति ना भरी हुई हो। तो इसमें भी शुरुआत करते हैं तो अनंत धर्मणस्तत्वं पश्यन्ति प्रत्यगात्मनः अनेकांतमयी मूर्ति नित्यमेव प्रकाशताम से प्रारंभ करते हैं अनेकांत की बात, अंत में स्यादवाद अधिकार लिखते हैं और यहाँ तक कहते हैं अत्र स्यादवाद शुद्ध्यर्थम वस्तु तत्व व्यवस्थिति। स्यादवाद से ही वस्तु तत्व की शुद्धि होती है। और बार बार कहते हैं, बीच बीच में भी कहते हैं, उभय न विरोध ध्वंसिनी स्यात् पदांके जिन वचसी रयम वांत मोहा। जो व्यक्ति स्यात् पद से अंकित जिन वचनों में रमण करेगा वो ही मोह का वमन करेगा, अन्यथा मोह का नाश करना असंभव है। देखो कितनी बड़ी बात कह दी। ऐसे ही कलश संख्या 204 में लिखा कि जो आत्मा को सर्वथा कर्ता मानते हैं अथवा सर्वथा अकर्ता मानते हैं, उन पर श्रुति को पिता, उन पर जिनवाणी कुपित होती है। बड़ी अलंकारिक भाषा है, उन पर श्रुति कोप करती है। आत्मा को सर्वथा कर्ता मानना, सर्वथा कर्ता मानना, सर्वथा शुद्ध मानना, सर्वथा अशुद्ध मानना, सर्वथा नित्य मानना, सर्वथा अनित्य मानना, ये भयंकर अपराध है। एकांतवाद छोटा अपराध नहीं है। एकांतवाद विष है और अनेकांतवाद अमृत है। संसार में इसीलिए दो ही वाद वास्तव में बनते हैं, एक अनेकांतवाद अथवा दूसरा आतंकवाद। तीसरा वाद नहीं बनता है। जो व्यक्ति अनेकांतवादी नहीं होता है वो व्यक्ति गारंटी से आतंकवादी होता है। इस तरह से इसमें बार बार कई बार अंत में फिर 208 कलश में फिर लिखा, कर्ता भोक्ता शुद्ध अशुद्ध सभी बातों को तुम स्यादवाद से समझोगे तो तुम्हें चैतन्य चिंतामणि की प्राप्ति होगी। ऐसे करके अनेक बातें यहाँ पर कही गई है और मैं इसी बात को इस सेमिनार में हाईलाइट करना चाहता था कि हम जब भी कोई बात सुने, पढ़ें, पढ़ाएं और जैन दर्शन की तरफ से पढ़े पढ़ाएं समझाएं तो हमको ये बात पल्ले में गांठ बांध लेनी चाहिए कि वो एक पक्ष है। एवरी कोइन हैज अपर साइड। हर सिक्के का दूसरा पहलू होता है। मंदिर जाना चाहिए कि नहीं, स्वाध्याय करना चाहिए कि नहीं, सिद्ध भगवान सुखी है कि नहीं, कौवा काला है कि नहीं, ऐसी कोई ऐसा कोई कथन नहीं है संसार का। मैंने लाखों सेंटेंस लगाकर देखे हैं कि जिन पर सर्वथा घटित किया जा सके। मुनिराज को आहार देना चाहिए कि नहीं, तो आपको एक सरल वाक्य बोला जाएगा, अवश्य देना चाहिए। लेकिन जरा विचार करो कि रात्रि हो रही हो तो देना चाहिए क्या? यदि मुनिराज का उपवास हो तो देना चाहिए क्या? यदि हम अशुद्ध हो तो देना चाहिए क्या? जब इतनी जगह हम मना कर रहे हैं कि नहीं 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 नहीं, तो फिर सर्वथा देना चाहिए कैसे रह गया? इसलिए जिन वाणी को समझकर यदि हमें हमारी साधना भली भांति संपन्न करनी हो तो स्यादवाद का कुतुबनुमा, स्यादवाद का दिशा सूचक यंत्र 24 घंटे 24x7 अपने पास अपने हाथ में रखना चाहिए, वरना हमारा जहाज भव सागर में भटक जाएगा, उस पार नहीं पहुंच पाएगा। यही जैन धर्म की सबसे बड़ी ग्लोरी है और यही जैन धर्म की आज सबसे बड़ी प्रासंगिकता है। सारे विश्व को आज भी अनेकांतवाद की बहुत आवश्यकता है। अनेकांतवाद जैन दर्शन का एक ऐसा महान आविष्कार है कि जो दार्शनिक आध्यात्मिक ही नहीं व्यावहारिक क्षेत्र में भी जादू जैसा सुखदायक सिद्ध होता है। हम सब इसको समझें, समझाएं, अपनाएं। इसी मंगल भावना के साथ मैं मेरी बात पूरी करता हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर वीर सागर जी। आप तो जैसे अमृत हमारे लिए है। मेरी हिंदी इतनी विशेष नहीं है पर हमने बहुत सारी चीजें आपसे समझा है कि स्यादवाद, जैसे आपने उसको इतने सारे ग्रंथ के साथ में आपने उसको लिंक किया है, तो इट्स लाइक अवर ब्लड लाइन इन पुट इन अ वेरी शॉर्ट एंड स्वीट वे। Thank you, Dr. Veer Sagar ji. You have been very kind to spare your invaluable time with us. We really missed you, sir, in the seminar. आपकी कमी महसूस थी, पर कोई कारणवश आप साथ में जुड़ नहीं सके, पर आज आपका आशीर्वाद मिला, इसलिए हमारा सौभाग्य है डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जेनोलॉजी की तरफ से और बाकी स्पॉन्सरिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस की तरफ से। थैंक यू सर।
ठीक है।
नाउ टू I invite Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am to give her concluding remarks, which will be followed by vote of thanks by Mr. Ashok. Dr. Priyadarshana ma'am.
Yes, Shanti sir. Yes, Shanti sir. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Okay. Aruna and Chandrakala, did they come, sir?
Yes, they have completed.
Okay. Yeah. Because just there were some guests, so I just logged out for a minute. Okay. Good evening.
They spoke about the
Can we just,
subtraction. They
yes,
spoke
yes,
about
sir. Yeah. Can we have a set of question answers because we have some time?
Sure.
If somebody has to say something, they can say, they can ask, and we'll try to wind up by 8:45.
Yeah. I would invite the audience to give their questions on any of the topics that have been presented today. And if the speaker is able to answer, otherwise, Priya ma'am will help us to understand the pursuits behind their presentations. If anybody is interested to ask any question, please raise your hand.
Question or observation or suggestion, all three are welcome.
एक बात मैं कहना चाहता हूँ, कह सकता हूँ?
हाँ सर.
आज सुबह एक शोध पत्र प्रस्तुत किया गया कर्म सिद्धांत पर, और उसमें ये बात जोर देकर बार बार कही गई कि जैन धर्म का कर्म सिद्धांत हमको भाग्य के भरोसे रहना नहीं सिखाता है और हमको पुरुषार्थ की प्रेरणा देता है, भाग्य को की उपेक्षा करके। तो एक अपेक्षा से तो बात ठीक है, लेकिन जिस टोन में आ रही थी उससे मुझे लगा ये भी एकांत हो रहा है। जैन दर्शन के कर्म सिद्धांत में और दूसरों के कर्म सिद्धांत में यही अंतर है कि जैन दर्शन का कर्म सिद्धांत दैव और पुरुषार्थ की मैत्री सिखाता है, न दैववादी बनाता है, न अंध पुरुषार्थवादी बनाता है, दैव और पुरुषार्थ का सुमेल करना सिखाता है, ऐसा मुझे अनुभव हुआ। तो वो सही है गलत है मैंने आपके सामने रख दिया, आप कुछ बताएंगे, मार्गदर्शन करेंगे। आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
Dr. Priya ma'am. Does anybody have any other questions? Otherwise, I'd invite Dr. Priya ma'am to give her concluding remarks. Okay. Today, we heard an excellent gamut of topics from very scholarly presentations and as well as presentations by students. And हम सबसे बहुत सारी चीजें प्रेरणा ली हैं. So still, while we wait for, yes, Dr. Priya ma'am.
Yes, sir. Anybody else wants to place on record? Nobody? Okay. Fine then. So today, out of the 10 people whose names we had for the presentations, 8 of them made their presentation. The first one was Dhruti. Can we have Dhruti? Where is Dhruti ji? Are you there, Dhruti?
She's not there.
She's not there. Okay. Okay. So Dhruti spoke about Lord Rishabha and the Indian, what to say, the Indus Valley civilization. And she gave her references. I just wanted to ask her about the references because this we have been hearing, this we have been telling about Rishabha. So I just wanted to check with her the new findings related. What is the new thing that she's found? What she spoke, although it is not popular outside the Jain circle, but with the Jain history, this is a very well established fact that the Indus Valley civilization and Rishabha, they're very closely linked. So that is one thing I had for her. Second, we had Shreya who spoke about happiness. So I wanted to ask her about the source, the references. You haven't cited the references for your paper. And second thing, without the understanding of happiness, it is difficult to work towards it. And how to differentiate between Sukh and Anand. Happiness you spoke in English, but how to differentiate that happiness? Is it to be associated with Sukh, or is it a third dimension thing beyond Sukh and Dukh? It is Anand. That I don't know. It did not come out well out in your paper. And so when you uh, send the paper for publication, we will look for all these things. Otherwise, the paper will be solemnly rejected. It has to be perfectly done. Please note this so that because, as
Yeah.
you said, this is your first presentation. So these are the things that you have to do. The review of literature, the methodology
Yeah.
in which you're talking,
All
all
that.
those things have to be established. Maybe it was there, but not perfectly done. Okay. Third
Okay.
one, Advocate Sunil from Jazz. He spoke about a violence-free world, and he showed about the book. I've seen his book, but there are a lot of things in the book. This is not the way things have to be done. You have to structure it beautifully. If we have to take the things to the larger uh, masses, I mean, larger set of people, we have to do it in a very, because this age is an age of perfection and be, what to say, very aesthetically, you have to do things. I hope Sunil sir has done a lot of work in putting everything together. I've seen his book, but if we give so many things to people, it will be difficult for them to take it. For compilation sake, for observation sake, we may do it. But if we have to take this hard work to the next level, then we'll have to work on the presentation of the things also. So, no doubt your topic is very important. All the topics are very important. But if the Jains have to sit up and listen and take cognizance of things, we'll have to try to refine our way of presenting. Next, we had Vibha. Vibha spoke about the importance of long fasting. And in her paper throughout, I could see that whenever she meant fasting, I don't know, you may be understanding it, but in the presentation, the fasting was more on just refraining from eating and taking to eating rather than other things. So that needs to be polished. So fasting is not just about not eating, it is more than that. That has to be clearly uh, examined first, presented first, and then. So you can say that fasting connotes a lot of other things, but generally people understand it with eating and not eating or refraining from eating. So there's one thing that you need to work on. And then I myself have taken to this long fasting, and it has helped heal. What to say? Many things. And as she said, it should be the bucket list of everybody. And that also I second it. And fasting is a way of life in the Jain tradition, all these things. So you need to do a lot of, what to say, have a lot of samples and just carry out the kind of a clinical research to establish the facts. So that is a long way to go. A very important topic. Then we had Achyut Khan Jain, who spoke about Nimitta and Upadan. And definitely, this is a very important topic again. And I salute all the scholars who really brainstormed and who picked up the topics from the brochure that we have given. So somebody took to the practical things like fasting, somebody took to the metaphysical things like applied metaphysics and Nimit Upadan and all that. So I would like to say that these concepts of Nimit and Upadan are not so popular across all the Jains. Only pockets of Jains, they know the strength of these concepts. So again, this also needs to be established. And indeed, all these concepts, this Nimit Upadan and fasting, long fasting, all these are really the glory of Jainism. They're celebrated in the Jain circles. So definitely, I would like to say Achyut Kanjin when he spoke about Banarsi Das Ji and the 17th century author, and Nimit Upadan. A lot of pains taken by the scholars to identify the topics and present it. And Gaurav and Manish, again, two scholars who did not turn up, and we are sorry that we missed them. And then we had Piyush ji. So, can I request Ashok to tell us what Piyush and Aruna Chandrakala told? Because I wasn't there to hear their presentations. So, if you can very briefly tell, I'll appreciate that, Ashok.
Sure, madam. Both Chandrakala and Aruna, both of them have spoken very well, and I partly could follow because half of us is in Hindi, so you know my handicap in Hindi. So the other half was in English, so I followed it pretty recently. So lately, they spoke about how to conduct ourselves in a very, very disciplined life. Especially, they were talking about how to get refrained from getting carried away by the sensual pleasures, which affects our day-to-day life with respect to sex workers and all that. Very nicely narrated. And I'm not able to follow other things because it's in Hindi, madam. Probably Nitin, can you elaborate, or Shanti sir can elaborate on that?
They spoke about the 7 Saptavashan, where which are the habits that a true Shravak should abstain from, including gambling, succumbing to alcohol, meat eating, adultery, stealing, and hunting, and ultimately prostitution. Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Ashok.
Yes, sir. And if you could also talk about Mr. Piyush, I think also about his part of the presentation, Mr. Shanti.
Yeah. Piyush ji spoke about Anekantvad and how is it important and relevant towards maintaining social and global harmony, especially in today's stressed world. And since he was from TCS with ample experience, he tried to show how through logic the concept of Anekantvad is central to all this framework. Yeah.
It's very nicely put on because his view on how it could be used in a corporate world to avoid the conflict, I really liked it. It's very nicely put across with his experience from Tata Group.
Okay. Nitin, what about Yamini, Nitin?
She spoke in the morning, madam.
Okay, she spoke
the first presenter in the morning. Yeah.
Fine. Okay. That I missed on that. And then we had Veer Sagarji. Veer Sagarji ka talk. Again, he was the last of the entries. And as usual, he talks so beautifully and so wonderfully. And of course, his topic is also a very relevant one. And the last speaker, last but not least, Veer Sagarji, one of our favorite, our teachers, and he's been my Prakrit teacher at BLI, and it's always a pleasure listening to him. Can I request Shobha madam to give her observations of today's session, and then we'll wind up. If you want to speak, Shobha madam.
Jai Janendra ma'am. Veer Sagarji was very emphatic, even though he spoke in Hindi and his Hindi was very simple. He spoke very slowly. What attracted me most was his sentence that if a person doesn't practice anekant, he becomes a atankwad, which means he becomes a terrorist. And this goes to show that ahimsa and anekant go one after the other. To practice ahimsa, one has to be an anekantvad. This combination, contradiction, like he said, anekantvad is, if you don't practice anekantvad, you become an atankwad. That was the sentence that stayed with me. And I wanted to say thank you to him for giving us this single line guidance. Like every time one thinks of violence, one has to think about Anekant and consider the various perspectives and not think in one absolutist way of thinking. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, Sagarji. Thank you.
Yeah, what I liked about his paper was, I mean, his presentation was that when you call that, when you say somebody he's not practicing Anekantwad, he's an Atankwadi, I would say an Atankwadi will only go to Narak, Panchendriya world, he will land in hell. But if you don't know the exact application of Anekantwad and take to the real Ahimsa, culminating in Aparigra, complete detachment will come. Aparigra. Aparigra means not having any possessions. Complete parigra rahit, just remaining a soul. And if you don't apply Anekantwad, you don't know the reality. So, an Atankwadi cannot go to Nigod. Eventually, he may go to Nigod. But if you don't apply Anekantwad, we are definitely bound to go to Nigod. So, it is more than being an Atankwadi. Because an Atankwadi only will kill others. But when you're not applying Anekantwad, you're doing Atma ka ghat. You're not understanding it. You're not applying Anekantwad. Atma ka ghat ho raha hai. So that is a bigger atang that we are practicing. So that again is a glory of Jainism. That is a real glory of Anekantwad is the greatest glory of Jainism. I'm reminded of that famous shloka that we have. Jaina vina logas savi vavaharo sabvaha na nibbhave. Tasya bhuvaneka guruno namo anegantavayas. The only and only one guru of the entire universe is Anekantwad. So without Anekantwad, nothing can happen. Everywhere in our day-to-day life also we are applying Anekantwad, but we don't know that it is Anekantwad. So the Jain Acharyas have done their bit to write about all these concepts in their literature. So we may not be able to write or spin out new literature, but we can understand this literature and take it to the masses, use the social media and take it to the public, and let our children first know the value of Anekantwad before we are too ambitious that the whole world should know about it. So this, I think, is my finding of this seminar, that we have to work more with our children and we have to be a little more dedicated towards Jainism before we really think of telling others. So Jainism begins with the understanding of the soul and ends with the purity and perfection of the soul. Everywhere it is the soul talk. But if we leave the soul talk, then we are only indulging in all punya, and ultimately that punya is in the robe of pap only. Mithyatva comes in the guise of punya. We are taking to mithyatva in the guise of punya. So we have to be very careful. So glory of Jainism is not just to celebrate Jainism, but to understand the spirit of Jainism and practice it so that we bring our soul out of this cycle and then help others also. So this, I think, indeed is the glory of Jainism, which was very neatly brought out by almost now 50 plus 15, 65 paper presenters. And with this few remarks, I would like to end my observation of the entire 3 days of online and offline proceedings of the seminar with a wonderful heritage trip to the Tamil Nadu uh, uh, heritage sites. So I thank each one who joined us online, offline, and all these videos will be available on our department YouTube channel, Jai Bharat, Jai Jin Shasan. So if if the Bharat Bhumi is not there, where we will practice the Shasan, the Jina Shasan that is within all of us. So it is our solemn duty to protect our motherland so that we practice the Dharma and rise in real glory. So these are my small observations of this seminar. And if anybody else wants to record something, we can listen to them. Otherwise, we will proceed with the vote of thanks. Over to Shanti sir. And those who want the certificate will have to request us, and we'll send you the certificate of participation for this online uh, mode of this seminar. That's it from my side. And thank you, my entire team of researchers, my faculty, my students who helped me to stitch this beautiful seminar and present it to ourselves, basically to ourselves and to the larger world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Priya ma'am. Yeah, please, sir. Go ahead, Dr. Piyush. पीयूष जी, आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं?
Nobody there.
No, sir, not from
Nobody.
my side, sir.
Nobody
Sunil
there.
Kumar ji.
डॉक्टर प्रिया मैडम, गुड इवनिंग। आपने जो बताया था उसके लिए हम लोग कार्य कर रहे हैं। ये कॉपीज में हम लोग कॉन्स्टेंटली इम्प्रूवमेंट कर रहे हैं और आपका सजेशन भी ले रहे हैं। इसमें आगे भी कुछ ऐसा होगा तो आप सजेशन लेके आप करेंगे। धन्यवाद।
बहुत मेहनत आप करते हैं सर, लेकिन उसका आउटकम भी मेजर करते हुए आप काम करिए सर।
मैडम अभी हमने
लेते हुए काम करें।
बहुत से स्कूल्स में इसको ट्राई कर रहे हैं कि ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन देने के लिए उसमें, और हमने ट्राई भी किया है और हम सक्सेसफुल भी हुए हैं। अभी हम लोग सूरत भी गए थे।
ठीक है सर, बाद में डिस्कशन कर लेंगे। नहीं तो अपन दोनों ही आपस में बातें करते रहेंगे तो सही नहीं होगा।
श्योर।
आप मेरी बात समझ गए, मैं आपकी बात समझ गई। आई थिंक एवरीबडी ऑल्सो। सो इफ एनीबडी वांट्स अ कॉपी ऑफ द बुक टू use it, to promote it, can also give in their inputs on the seminar group. Thank you.
Thank
Shanti,
you.
sir.
And yeah, now I request Ashok sir to propose a vote of thanks so that we can then conclude today's evening session. Over to Ashok sir.
Thank you, Shanti sir. Thank you, madam, for a wonderful summarizing the event today. All good things have to come to an end. So this wonderful seminar, which has started on 23rd morning and ending today, which is 27th evening, 23, 24, we had the full seminar, and last 2 days you had a heritage trip. Again, today morning and evening, you have a thing. Fantastic marathon effort from spirit of madam, and the way you put together is really, really great. So first, I would like to thank all the 65 presenters, online, offline, and everybody has brought in a different context to the Jain Dharma, especially to the context of glory of Jainism and its relevance to the modern context. We started with various ideas, and today we are ending with a corporate idea of how Anekantvad can be used in a corporate. So which means Jain Dharma is applied across the society, across the morals, virtues. It was a fantastic views by the different scholars, presented very well. And I want to thank for all the efforts put in by all the scholars over the last 3 days in the seminar, online and offline, for putting together a wonderful new avenues, which is making the seminar complete. The abstract book, which has come out, shows the ideas, what it reflects. I'm sure with kind of a help from Priya ma'am and every scholars think we are going to be publishing this into a book. Articles would get published. So primarily, it all depends again with the scholars to come back and give articles which is worth publishing. So that's fantastic, and thank you all for taking your efforts and putting together this. Then I would like to specifically thank Shanti sir, Renu madam, and Reshma madam, primarily anchoring the MC aspect of it. One highlight of this entire seminar, I should say, is timekeeping, right? And it just doesn't matter. Whoever comes right there, whether they are, where they come from, what's the background, Shanti just don't. He says, like, for me, time is important. And from Priya madam to a chief guest, to everybody, he goes and says, this is a time, and he reminds them to stop it, which is hats off to you, Shanti sir. You very well anchored it. I think, but for that, we couldn't have completed on time, especially for an early dinner, both on 23rd and 24th. And it would have been impossible to do that. And fantastic job done by Shanti Madam, Renu Madam, and Reshma Madam. And Reshma Madam was so kind enough to accommodate last minute changes up and down, and in turn running around to the presenters, shifting the schedules. It was really wonderful to see the teamwork there, what happened. Thank you all. Next is I would definitely like to thank the front office, which primarily anchored by Minu Madam, Pramila Madam, and a whole lot of people from the first day. In everything was such a smooth thing. When people come, they get answered, and everything was handled smooth. And a whole lot of people in the front desk. I just humbly say thank you to you for making this seminar a great success. Next comes as the favorite technical team headed by, I would say that Nitin, Abhi, Harsha, and Vipul. They've done a very good job because so many presentations have come. Some presentation were missing. And the last 2 days, especially 22nd and 21st, I remember Nitin quickly formed a group with Abhi, and they were just dumping all the files which received from Google Forms. They sequentially beautifully organized, and then went back and found out which profiles have not come, which presentations have not come. They were just trying to organize. And the day we were starting, they brought it and loaded. And from then, everything was smooth. Even I would say that the quality of video recording on a YouTube, yesterday I happened to review that. It's really fantastic. And the way they anchored it, great job, the entire technical committee, especially Nitin, Abhi, and the team, great job. Then comes to the abstract committee, which is headed by specifically the madam, and she took such a wonderful thing, because I did attend 2 other seminars in the last 2 months, and I found the way the abstract book has come out, this itself is a publication, if not the other thing. So beautifully eye for detail, and she took every aspect of the thing and formed a separate team for that, where they went in, looked at every paper and nicely knitted together and brought out this abstract book. I'm sure, I was just wondering, if the abstract book of this quality, how is the final publication going to be? So I think it's really going to be great. And last but not the least, I would like to definitely thank Priya Madam for putting together such a marathon effort. And it just over last 3 months, the effort has started. Meticulous planning in terms of getting into the details from the I would say an abstract to the detail was excellent. Getting into every aspect of it, pulling the right kind of people with the right competence to the right job, and making this seminar a very, very grand success. And outcome of this, I could hear this from several people, at least from the Research Foundation. They all came, just to name a few, like Sugalji's to Kailash Mal. Everybody came and said this was an eye-opener and a lot of things, and they were probably expecting us to come back and tell them what is the action points and how they wanted to go about in terms of to do anything more to take this forward to the bigger group and convey this is what our findings are. And I'm sure that's going to happen with the leadership of Dr. Priya Madam. And I want to, if I missed anybody, I specifically want to apologize for missing them. And definitely everybody else who participated across the world in this online seminar, thank you all so much. And if anything else anybody want to share, we can take.
Ashok sir, we would also like to thank the co-sponsors for this seminar, the Research Foundation for Jainology, as well as Jain Academy of Scholars, Dr. Narendra Bhandari and his fellow scholars who contributed in no less measure, as well as the Research Foundation for Jainology, headed by its president, Shri Kailashmal Sadugar, and Arvind Bhai and so many other distinguished members of the public for their philanthropy and supporting the efforts of the Department of Jainology at the University of Madras. I think that would summarize all
100%. And I also want to add, Dr. Santosh was primarily did the anchoring and contributed to it. Definitely that goes thing. And the book.
And more important, Ashok sir, any
Yes.
seminar, unless there's good food, then nothing happens. People get stale. So thanks to Abhay sir for coordination. We are all literally flooded with kira vadas and bondas and
Absolutely.
whatnot. So it was really on top of the world on the academic front, on the literary front, and on the organization side, as well as the culinary side. Thank you very much. And anybody else would like to give their any other remarks or suggestions?
Sir, Shanti sir, I'd like to.
Before I forget, sorry for interrupting you, Dr. Shobha ma'am. We'd also like to thank the first and second year students for a beautiful paper poster presentation. I think this is a highlight of the seminar which has not been done before. So the posters that come very nicely, especially in the way they were presented, as well as our minority commission member who presented a gallery of all the archaeological exhibits in the seminar hall. Yes, Dr. Shobha ma'am.
Mr. Rajendra Prasad, yes.
Rajendra Prasad. Yes, Dr. Shobha ma'am.
Sir, we shouldn't forget, I'd like to thank the accommodation committee also for people were very comfortable over there. And
Accommodation
also
and transport.
Transport, yes, it was, there was not a no anywhere, and even the staff in the hotel were very, very good. I'd like to thank particularly Anjali and her team, and also Priya ma'am for choosing this place. It was very good.
She handpicked this place. Originally, it's supposed to have been, I know that it's supposed to have been a triplicate. She was not happy with that, and she was telling me then she found this place, unpicked, and then she ensured that this place was very comfortable. This is an art and architecture of Dr. Priya ma'am, the entire seminar.
But for all the paper presenters, I think the paper presenters are the heroes. Yeah. And just a networking between the Lakshmi Putras and the Saraswati Putras, trying to bring out the Shakti of faith in the glory of Jainism. In this one word, I would like to say that this YouTube link, please pass it on to whomsoever you want. And we'll try to do one thing. We'll try to take each and every presentation and try to give it separately on some other social media platform so that this channel gets wider accessibility so that the youngsters can listen to the short videos and understand the glory of Jainism. So this is
and
one.
Dr. Priya ma'am, we also shared a feedback link. So we request everybody to spare 1 minute so that we also understand what the audience, the contemporary world today views this efforts and how we could do it better. I think that request everybody to. It will not take more than a minute. I did it, and I did it in 40 seconds flat. So it's a very nice, structured feedback form. Request everyone to please fill it out. The links are available in all the groups. Otherwise, you could message one of us, and we'll be happy to furnish it to you.
So thankful to Ashok for preparing all the Google forms, Abhinandan for the teaser and for this feedback form. And so it was again the ancient and the modern, the wisdom seekers and the tech savvy people all coming together. I see a lot of integration happening between the ancient and modern, science and spirituality, technology and wisdom. So it's a lot of teamwork, So together,
two points we could keep in mind, ma'am. One is that the duality of language, especially for people who are presenting in Hindi, if you could have some PPT slides on English, I request them to present it. So it will be far-reaching impact,
Yeah, most of the paper presenters presented their PPTs in English only. So those who were presenting in Hindi, the non-Hindi people could read in English and understand what was being spoken of. And like Shobha ma'am gave us a suggestion that next time we should use the technology to translate and people talking in Hindi and people understanding in their language, So this is where I think one suggestion
And
that
we'd
we
also
can.
officially like to thank the university authorities, ma'am, especially Registrar ma'am and Professor Armstrong, as well as the other professor or the controller of the examination studies, who have spared their valuable time, given us the premises, as well as the support staff, the other people who have been the back end of the show, without which nothing would have been possible. So I'd like to thank the university and place it on record for being a very vital source of positive energy as well as contribution to make this seminar successful. Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Andrew.
Ma'am, one person I would like to specially mention here was Punya Koti. I thought he did a wonderful job. We should mention him in that, in our appreciation. Thank you.
And you know what? Many people came and asked him, "Are you a Jain?" Even though he was a Jain. And then somebody asked me, "Are you a Digambar or a Shwetambar?" And he didn't know what they're asking. So he came and told me this morning, "Ma'am, they asked me whether I'm a Jain, ma'am. I feel so happy, ma'am." And then they asked me whether you're this Jain or that Jain. I did not understand. I said, "Digambar, Shwetambar." He said, "Yes, yes, yes." That is what they were asking me. And he said, "I'm so happy that."
With a smile, all the time with a smile, never harassed, never with a wrong word. And I think he did a good job.
Also, Vanita ma'am, the special PA who gave us all our inputs as well as our efforts were very timely and helpful.
One of the things is that anybody who wants the books that have been released, you just message in the group. I'll just send a message. Who all want the certificates? Who all want the books? Please message on the group. I'll just prepare a message. You just copy paste your names and your address and your requirement over there, and we'll deliver. It may take us a couple of days because we have the Mahavir Jayanti thing coming up, and the department has been invited by the Mahavir, kya bole, Bhagwan Mahavir Janma Kalyanak Celebration Committee to have the poster presentation for the Mahavir Jayanti celebration at Dadawadi, which we did in Coimbatore. So I'll be again contacting my whole team for this. Tomorrow I'll be going and seeing the place to see how much area they are giving to us. Then accordingly we will display the posters. And then we have the exam in the department. So with this, I would like to sign off.
Ma'am, one small, can I request everybody to, can I make an announcement? I have sent the Zoom link and the concept and everything for the sake of universal peace. The Tamil Jains and the Jains of India have arranged with Veer Sagar Muni Maharaj to say to recite the Uvasaga Haram Stotram at 7 o'clock on 30th morning. I request all of us to join, and so we could create a vibration that would sort out the disturbances of conflict and violence in the world, ma'am.
All soon and things come to normal.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I think it's already now 9:15, and we'd like to draw this entire events to a close. And we'd like to thank again everybody, including the presenters and blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much, and have a good night. And please be connected with our department activities, and it will be a pleasure to interact with you. And we look forward to everyone contributing in whatever way you can. Thank you very much, and with Priya ma'am's consent.
Thank you very much.
Very
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.